Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
As we get into this brand new year, you're probably thinking, am I doing what I really want to do? Is this it? Or maybe you feel kind of misaligned with what's in you and what your job is. Have you found your purpose? Have you found your calling? She is somebody that can help you out with that, with a career assessment and coach you along the way. And she got very effective ways of doing that. Joann Perahia joins us again on the program. Welcome, Joann. How you doing?
Oh, hi there, Steve. How's it going? I'm good. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. And just before we got on here, we were talking about a video that you saw on LinkedIn where some tech guys or tech business owners were looking for people, but it sounds like the biggest challenge is they're not being specific enough as to what they're looking for.
That's right. Well, they were talking about Web3. They were talking about not much about AI, but just really where Web3 is taking us. And they just kept saying, we need creative people. We need creative people. Well, I listened to that and I said, well, what do you mean? What talents does a creative person have? And basically creativity and in the Holland RISEC personality traits comes under artistic. And that's really what the creativity is. Are you a free thinker? Can you do tasks independently? But again, they were so vague. I just wanted, and I questioned, well, what do you mean by creative? Because is our education system really helping students become creative? Are we still at the antiquated way of educating our kids? I believe that colleges are changing at this point. But again, what does creative really mean? I mean, I can tell you what John Holland says. I can tell you what my purpose cards say under artistic, but it was so vague. I was like, okay.
It sounds like they don't know what they want.
I think they don't. And I think that what has happened over the years, technology, remember, I was a software developer in like at the beginning of punch cards. So in the dinosaur days. So let's just say the 80s and the 90s. I went into the 2000s kind of a little bit later. And what was happening is that they needed social people also. And they all were, it was like, if you tried to get information out of a programmer, they couldn't even speak. They would, what's the old term about being a geek, And now with all this technology that's so easy to use, but someone still has to create it. Everyone is like, oh, AI, we're going into robotics, everybody's job, everyone's going to be displaced.
Well, there is, just to jump in, at that one point, it is a concern for many. And my friend sent me, and he's a tech guy, and he sent me this the other day.
Ooh.
And it's called OpenAI. I know we're pivoting for a second here,
but
it's called OpenAI.
OpenAI.
And it's first of its kind API is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Application Programming Interface.
Look at you. I don't have to explain it. Fantastic. Some are saying that it can overtake Google because it's so intuitive. And my friend says he uses it. And it's not like a turnkey thing. It's not like a plug and play thing. You got to like kind of massage it a little bit, but you can tell it, send an email to Joann and tell her that we're going to be talking about these topics at 11 a.m. on Friday. It generates the full email.
Yes. Oh,
and it's amazing. And then you go back to it. It's like, make it a little less formal, please. And it's done. And you just copy and paste and send.
Well, we even see, I have a family of geeks. So our conversations are geek conversations. And one of the conversations was developing an AI that, you see everybody's birthdays on Facebook. So then you say happy birthday to them on Facebook. We'll create an AI that you don't have to remember anybody's birthday, and automatically a nice card or email, not a card because that's snail mail, will be sent to them. So you don't need to think about it.
How about just sending a post on their wall when it's their birthday? I know it's impersonal. Don't hate me for this, but there's so many times I'm like, oh, it's Joe's birthday. Oh, it's Michelle's birthday. Yeah, I could get to that later. I want to write something. And then I forget. And then it's a
Right.
day later and I feel like a
Yep.
total jerk about it. But you could even personally write down a bunch of different things from you that the AI plugs the names into.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
your birthday wish language.
Yep.
Like I always say, if it's your birthday, I would say, happy Joann Day, because it's your day. So it's not a birthday, it's Joann Day. Plug the name in, whatever. But AI is powerful. It's almost a little scary that it could be
It's-
replacing some jobs.
It is scary, but I always come back to, but who was to program the AI?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so then that's where I guess full circle, it comes back to having creative people who know how to deal with Web3, who know how to deal with AI. AI also, no, AI, I don't want to say that one because I don't think I'm accurate. I don't know if it's good information, but that's where it all comes from. So then again, back to that full circle, you need creative people and you need people to program this. And do we have the people to do that? And, I guess that's why this person kept saying creative, creative. I mean, one of the biggest, what's that game? Oh my God, my kids got it like, when they were in the beginning of college.
I hope it wasn't Cards Against Humanity.
No. It's the one where one time, the first time we did it, it was like we were on a roller coaster. It's
virtual reality type.
Thank you.
Game. Okay. Gotcha.
And VR is part of AI.
Oh, for sure. What I'm getting from what that video was that they're looking for creative thinkers in the tech world. And when I think of the friends that I have that are creative thinkers, there's a few that stand out. I have geeky friends. I'm geeky, so we all kind of hang out.
I know.
It is what it is. And I have, my friend Dave, he's not really a creative thinker. He's geeky, but then there's others that do have that creative way to come up with a solution. It's a different way of thinking. But how do you decide that? How do you know if you're that? How do you quantify that? It's kind of tough, kind of vague.
Well, with what they said, yes, it is vague. So my answer would be, okay, creative people are really, in the old world, artistic. Because that's what art people used to do. They'd create a picture, a painting with colors.
Sure.
An architect is creative.
Yeah.
So those are the traits that you would want from, let's say, John Holland. You would want the artistic people. That would have to be part of your combination of personality traits.
Well, and to your point, Joann, before, communication skills. So everybody, if you're younger, you don't really communicate so much verbally. It's all typing, texting. So therefore, when it comes time to communicate, there are some challenges there. And I truly believe that there is a reason for so much anxiety right now,
Yes.
and especially social anxiety. Like it's an epidemic. And I think
it is an epidemic.
That's a part of it.
And that's part of it too. And part of it too is I'm watching it, or I'm even, because I am friendly with all different ages, all different types, because I figure skate. And then there's a figure skater a beautiful skater, and then became a real estate agent, but then started posting about how people are being mean to her. Well, this is what happens. You're out there, we're becoming mean. This is why I'll still go back, find your purpose. Find your talents and gifts and give them away. And when we give things away, we're so much better.
Yeah.
But this whole social media thing really, it's got its negatives and it's got its positives. It's got usefulness, but then you have everybody trying to be an influencer. Everyone's showing what they ate, what they did. And are they really that happy? I mean, just recently,
No.
I think a young influencer just committed suicide.
Yeah. And the challenge is you're starting younger with all of that. So you're 12, you're 13, 14, and now, especially a teenage girl, and I deal with this,
It's terrible. And it's harder for you guys. See, let's see, smartphones came out when my kids were about 14, but the internet was there and they had what was called instant messaging.
Yeah.
And they would then, and even then, I mean, even then in, it had to have been like 2006, where the principal had to have a meeting about the mean girls who were instant messaging. And, I used to have what was called no technology days with my kids, to the point where one time we went to Rockefeller Center and one of them was like, they were like third grade. So, and one was like, I want to go home. So I said, well, if we go home, it's a no technology day. And we were in the elevator at the top of the rock. And he goes, all right, let's go do something. And then I heard this British woman with her two teenagers going, oh my, a no technology day. I really like that. And man, did I get daggers. But it's harder now because it started getting harder once they had to use the internet to do your schoolwork.
Yep.
Well, that's another good AI to do. You can't go here,
Yeah. And even if you want to lock down a phone, you can, you shut off your Wi-Fi in your house, but you can't control data. So you have it now. And I'll tell you this, digression here, but all of the apps, all of the software to watch what your kids surf for, do, say, it's a complete waste. I have done them all. Extensively. You can and it gets even harder because Apple makes it even harder. Android a little bit easier, but kids are savvy, man. They can just go in, shut off permissions. Even if you lock it down as a parent, they find a way.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to digress. I'm going to tell you an audition that my kids went on, and it was for a Disney phone. This was a long time ago. All right, maybe 20 years ago. And the Disney phone had a tracker in the kid. So as my kids were doing the audition, it was as they were preparing for the audition, my kid puts the phone down in the living room of the friend's house and walks out the door. So the phone is there tracking the kid, but the kid left the phone there.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you another example. I put, you can do Life 360 and it's free. So but if your kid takes off the location setting, and now you can get on top of them for doing it, don't shut that off, blah, 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 blah. But they can do it and they will do it. And my friend, final thought on all of this, a good friend of mine, high level at IBM, he is the creative thinker. He is the designer. And I said, dude, help me out. You've got kids, same age. What do I use? What app can I use just to, make sure that they're not going to certain sites and they're safe and everything? He's like, nothing. There's nothing out there. And it just validated what I found.
And you know what it really is? It's then we have to be better parents, or we have to really, like be on top of things. Like my kids never had a computer in their room. It was in the living room, which was attached to the kitchen because we have open area where I could see what they were doing. I mean, I used to turn the router off, but no, you then have to teach them. See, so it's harder being a parent with what's going on here. What did we used to do? We used to play out in the street. We were told, don't talk to strangers. And here, it's much harder. So you have to kind of really, I'll go back to have them, even at an early age, find what their purpose is. Find out what they're really good at and have them do it, whether it's sports, whether it's acting, whether it's crocheting. But you have to, and it's hard. And then especially with COVID and how we had lockdown and how everybody is now attached to these tubes. It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, really I don't envy you because it started with my kids because they're millennials, but much harder today. And you're right, nothing's going to stop them. They'll figure it out.
COVID was a license for that change where it's okay to sit in your room all day and just, sit on your phone because you had to back then. And then how do you get out of that mindset? That was the beginning of no verbalization, no social skills because you're just doing this. Some kids, they can't even walk into a store and ask for something. because they don't know how, or they don't feel comfortable because they're just in a texting, typing world. I love what you just said about finding your purpose or encouraging your kids to find their purpose when they're younger, whatever it may be, even if it's like exposing them to different things.
And that's, again, I mean, I'm not a therapist or whatever, but that's what you do. You expose them and you commit them also. It's not, okay, we're going to go do Taekwondo and then the kid comes out, but we're doing it for the 6 weeks of the class. And not, okay, mommy, I don't like it. And after that one day, stop them from doing it. They've got to also know it, Now, also this self-directed search now has a facility for high school students to help them get, identify a major and what, can't speak, sorry, and what colleges to go to.
Hmm. Can we look at your purpose cards and apply it in
Sure.
terms of what that they were looking for in terms of an artistic individual in that video that you were listening to?
Okay, so basically, when you look at it, you sit there and you say, okay, because they were not saying these things, which is basically what they should have been saying. Okay, so when you are artistic, first thing is you like to write things. Okay, programmers too, techie people write.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now here's one, performing events. Now, that may or may not be something as a techie.
Right.
However, all of the techies and your friend at IBM, I am sure he goes out and does presentations and speaks
Yes.
at conferences. Okay.
Yes.
So there is his performing events.
And it didn't start that way. He was doing his tech thing and doing well at it and decided, you know what? I got more in me. So he found a different purpose. So yes, this is not everybody,
No,
but he speaks at events and loves it and makes videos. I will be honest, I helped him with that. I kind of
and
began.
there you go. And that's the artistic part. That's the performing events. I used to see, I had a 20-year career in the 80s and 90s, and I spoke at conferences. I mean, I spoke at what was called PC World. That's how, and that's where I took
PC
it.
World, I remember that. I used to get that magazine all the time.
Right. And they had a conference. And I used to
Wow.
speak at it on,
So cool.
creating databases. So again, so performing events, and it's a very good thing for a techie person because a lot of techie people cannot do that.
Right. It sets you above the others if it's in you. You don't have to, but if it's
exactly.
But imagine if you were a geek, you were techie, and you had, let's say, your parents exposed you to theater, and you performed at some school plays, and just have just kind of love it. Imagine
Exactly.
blending that all together.
Yep. And that's how it does. That's how it works. So then here for artistic, it's breaking molds, which again, think about it. And again, I want creative people. Well, that's what creative people do. They break molds. That's what programming does. If you really AI, it's breaking a mold. Aha, here's a good one I love. Seeing the big picture.
Yeah. Now, how are you doing this with these cards? How did you identify artistic and then use your purpose cards for that?
Well, what happens is this is the card itself. You want to see a card?
Yeah, can we see? You showed them last time. Oh, okay. So it even says artistic on it. Wow.
Right. But you're not supposed to be thinking about that. You're supposed to be thinking, do I like to compose things? And it doesn't mean, I like to compose music? It could be, I like composing videos.
Sure.
I love doing that stuff too. I did it for my kids when I was managing their acting career. Because in those days, all I had was Adobe Premiere Elements. And I had to learn that by taking a video camera and attaching it to the computer. So much different now. Oh my God, what you can do with your phone.
Yep. Did the same. Yep. I'm right there with you. Now, when you work with somebody to help them find their purpose, their calling, do a career assessment, you like to use the purpose cards. Are you reverse engineering it in this situation because we're thinking artistic, and then what is artistic?
Right. Well, we're reverse engineering it because we're looking at what those qualities are.
That's
And
what I'm
that's
saying.
yes. But when I work with somebody, we do a two-step process, which is first, let's do the cards. I lay them out. You have to go pick them out. You have to end up, it's 52 cards. You have to end up with 5 and in the order of what you like doing best.
Mm,
And this is all about not what I'm good at. It's what I like doing. You can be good at it too. Again, I think we had mentioned this before. Sure, I want to be an Olympic skater, but I can't skate. And that's, a little unrealistic,
right.
but that's how it works. Here we're backing it because it's also good to back it when you then take the self-directed search. What usually happens is your cards and the self-directed search match. I've not seen it where it doesn't. And then you can take it backwards. You can look in the self-directed search, but really only under your 4 top quality traits. Because why are you going to look at something that isn't your trait, but you still can, and then see, well, what do I need to do that? How do I have to be? Although the purpose cards tell you more in detail. The self-directed search will say the qualities too, but a little differently. So that's why I like doing them both.
Right.
Because they're a good combination. Because this is all about you. This is all about finding yourself.
Love the concept because it validates as well. Like if you think, I think I'm artistic, but really, am I artistic? And how do I apply that? And if you look at those cards, well, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me.
That's right.
I'd like to do that. I think I can, or I have a little bit of experience or a vibe for it. That's me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's super cool the way that works.
It is. It's very interesting. I find that it really does work. And like I say, I like doing the back way, that the person that did that, the speaking one, where they wanted creative people, I just said, could you do me a favor and please do this for me? And this guy came out, and I think I've said it before, he came out enterprising, which is exactly, what an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
So, so you look at it both ways, because again, this isn't a one-stop shop in the sense of, oh, well, now I know this. Again, as we say, self-knowledge is empowerment. Knowledge is power, but self-knowledge is empowerment.
Well, this helps you, and you help identify what you're feeling, what's on your mind, where are you going with that? Because sometimes it's hard to sort it out, and especially if you're stuck in your job. I don't mean that in a negative way, but you're doing your job, and that's what but there's other things that you might not realize it.
Right. And this helps. This is why you do this. This is like, your 5-year plan. Go back to it. See what it is. See what else is out there. And also see, we do change over time. I don't know how much we change, because I think mine's been for the past 13 or 14 years, but it is self-knowledge. Look at your friend from IBM. He's doing all of that stuff because I can bet you he's artistic.
100,000,000%. And he has evolved, from one thing to another. And I've known him, I want to say, 12, 15 years, something like that. But I've seen him, take it progressively in a certain direction where in the tech world, he's almost like a little bit of a celebrity now. He turned himself into that because that's what he wanted to do. And he even said to me, because I've worked in radio forever, he's like, yeah, man, I'm thinking about maybe doing like some voiceovers or whatever. So that turned into him voicing videos and then also appearing in them. And I remember telling him, all right, this is the kind of microphone you should use. The garage backdrop, not good.
Right, like the garage backdrop. Yeah. Well, look, I actually over COVID, I did a class. It's on my website, of teaching people how to present themselves in Zoom on videos like an actor.
Yeah.
And so that's what you did. That's what you did for him, and it's great.
That's why you are a Renaissance woman, because you help with all different things. I want to tell everybody, your website is your name, right? Let's get that out there.
Okay, so it's AHIA.com. So it's Joann Perahia. It's a toughie.
Yeah,
.com.
but not tough is working with you and figuring what your calling is and the direction you want to go in. And you said 5 years before your 5-year plan. I keep hearing research over and over that says we reevaluate our lives every 5 years.
Yep.
We take a look. Doesn't mean we're making major changes.
No.
But we're it's on our radar, and you just could be driving one day to work and thinking, I don't know if this is really, me, but what could I do? It could be at the 5-year mark. You're thinking again, about it.
You got that.
The new
That's
year, make that
true.
change. And reach out to Joann. Free, call it a consult to
Yes,
see
you
if it's a
can
fit.
get a free consult so that we can at least see where you're at and how we would proceed.
Love it. Always great talking with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, and looking forward to talking soon.
Yes,
Thanks
we
again.
will.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.